They've been discharged, but they have no homes. They're unprepared and have no prospects. No one seems to care, and they're vulnerable. Without help, many will reoffend. The need for aftercare for ex-prisoners has long been recognised, but there are few places that provide both a home and the care to meet their specific needs. The Langley House Trust is one of the leading agencies making a difference. It was founded in 1958 by a group of Christians concerned that for many prisoners there was no hope of breaking the cycle of reoffending. They took on a man called John Dodd, who'd been a prisoner of war under the Japanese from 1942 to 1945. His experiences gave him a sense of purpose that was to help thousands of men and women. Today, the Langley House Trust has Christian homes located across England and provides a niche for almost every kind of offender. There are registered drug rehabilitation homes, halfway homes, and 5 homes which are safe sanctuaries where men who can't cope with the outside world can work in fully supportive communities, in protected workshops, farms and gardens. Administered from headquarters in Witney, Oxfordshire, and run on Christian principles, the Trust's aim is to provide an atmosphere of love, care and understanding that will help ex-offenders rehabilitate into society crime-free and will also encourage their spiritual development. They're given the opportunity to learn practical and social skills that will enable them to lead responsible and constructive lives in the community. The Trust's registered home for male drug dependents is Murray Lodge, a large house situated 2 miles from the centre of Coventry. It has workshops, a greenhouse and a gymnasium. Residents work to individual care plans and there are 9 full-time residential staff. One of the team leaders is David Warrington.
Well, at Murray Lodge, our aim really is to help people who've had a drug problem and a problem with crime that so often goes along with drugs, to help them to live a drug and crime-free life, to fit back into society in a more acceptable pattern, and really to give them an opportunity to reassess everything really about the past.
In our times of enabling and key working, we find that they don't always like what they see because they come face to face with the 9 and 10-year-old, or the pain of that. That may be the time when dad has left, it may be the time when mum and dad have died and left them. It brings back all that pain which the drugs have just masked and just buried, but it all comes tumbling back. Often it won't be that anything's particularly wrong at 9, and there may be big things in their lives happening, but it may just be a group of guys having a smoke of dope or cannabis. They go along with that because it's a buzz and it's doing something different. That leads them then into the whole culture. Cannabis ceases to be enough, and then it's just try the heroin or just try the crack, and then the next thing they know, they're in the middle of it. They're submerged in it. They're in a culture that perhaps at first is alien but exciting. So they take that on board. In order to finance the drugs, they're then into crime. You know, some of the lads that come to Murray Lodge are looking at £100, £200 a day to, you know, to sort of just feed their own habit. But before they know where they are, they're then within the court system. They're up before the courts. They're on remand, prison. That's not less drugs, that's more drugs. That's more things to try. And their life just spirals down. It's just totally empty. Family usually then thinks, well, they're a lost cause, give up on them, and there isn't anything for them.
The programme here increases their abilities to maintain a home, to cook for themselves, to do gardening. Those are all things that actually help to build up their self-awareness and things of that nature.
When I first come, I didn't really have any expectations of what this place was about. I had no idea what rehab was about. But I came with my eyes open, prepared to do whatever needed to be done. It was everything I needed. There was a lot of structure, which you lose through drugs. You have no structure in your life, and I needed to build that back up. So like with the work teams, we have work teams, we do different jobs. It was things I don't like doing, but things to get you involved, get your mind away from things. I realised once I got here, I thought I'd be able to come to Murray Lodge, stay off drugs for 12 months, and I'd be all right. And it's only while I've got here and I've talked and I've realised how deep my problem is that it takes a lot more, that it's going to take a whole change of life. So since I've got here, I've determined to try everything differently. I've got into sports and to the gym, things I've never done before.
I think that's what done it for me. I think, you know, there was a warm, caring sort of atmosphere. And I think the most important thing for me is that the fellow Christians, as well, it's a Christian sort of organisation, the Langley House Trust. And I suppose it's where you can open up and if you're wrong and if you're weak, you're not sort of judged on it. And I think that's what sort of made it for me. And I found myself here, you know, and here 8 months on. It's been really, really hard. There's been some really sort of hard times where I suppose I've wanted to get up and leave and sack it all and just get off. But I think you stay and you see it through. The struggles, all the more worth it. Because you can just get up and go on a feeling, and feelings can be very bad for you. And the lads here, including myself, use this saying, if rehabilitation's easy, it's not working. I mean, it's got to be hard. We have to face changes, we have to personal honesty has got to sort of be the most important thing. But I think when you do come, that's all new to you. And the staff here are trained to sort of like gently get that out here and bring the best out in you, because we come in with the street head on, very much in the world. And when you come, all this is new. So you've got a staff team of 8 or 9 now who are all learning as well. And they offer so much sort of love and security. And like, you can come out with your fears and you know you're safe to sort of express them. And if you're feeling bad and you know you want to get off, there's always someone to talk to.
I've got my own counsellor who I can speak to about everything. Plus I'm sharing things with lads in here that are all going through the same thing, and that helps in a big way as well. So even though it's a struggle, I mean, there's hard times, it isn't easy rehab. But if you really want to get off drugs, I mean, this is the only place I could see that I could sort my life out anyway.
I do enjoy my life without drugs, but I don't believe you can just come here, not change, and stay off drugs. You have to change, and changing is looking at your problems head on and saying, do I want drugs to cope with this? I've had some home leaves now, and they've been absolutely brilliant. There's been drugs around, and I've just walked away, and I've been quite happy to walk away. Personal honesty, I think, has got to be the most important thing. And it doesn't come straight away. You learn it, and it becomes part of you.
The caring community at Murray Lodge supports its residents in their resolve to live drug-free lives. The programme, which is physically and emotionally very demanding, may last up to 12 months, and the success rate is high. Not everybody needs this sort of programme. Other offenders have different problems, and the Trust has schemes such as Langley House in Poole, where help is given to those with learning and behavioural difficulties. Langley House is a halfway home where 14 residents are given the space and time for renewal and the opportunity to work with the help of staff and others in the community towards crime-free independence. Sean has now moved on from Langdon to take a training course in higher education, something which seemed an impossibility when he left prison 2 years ago.
Somebody met me from Langdon House at the station. It happened to be Michael. Now, straight away I could tell that he was a Christian, you know, and he really helped me and put me at ease. And he brought me to Langdon House. I was welcomed, genuine welcome, and I could sense that and I could feel it. The atmosphere was one of warmth, but at the same time given to me the rules to abide by. There's no drugs allowed here. There is no drink allowed here. And it seems to be a family atmosphere. Don't get me wrong, there are differences, as I'm sure in all hostels there are differences, but there is a family atmosphere which has been brought on, I would say, by the staff here. The staff, to me, have been absolutely wonderful. People from various walks support Langdon, and not only support in prayer, but practically support it. Now, to me, this is a wonderful, wonderful thing. Now, all this is part and parcel of something that's been built up over years. They provide a service for people who have gone wrong and who want to make something of themselves. At least they give them the chance to give them a second chance. There are not many people out there who will give ex-prisoners a second chance.
Well, I'm from the Methodist Church, and the Methodist Church has had a long contact with Langley Trust anyway. So they see it as part of their work. But locally, they've had to be helped to realise how much goes on. And also the fact that they can gain from Langley. So the muscle power we have at Langdon is very much appreciated by some of the old folk locally. And as a result of that, they've learned to get on with the men and support them in all sorts of ways. I come formally once a week and we have a Padres hour, which is a chat about almost anything, plus a very short prayer time when they have their own concerns. And that's the official bit. The unofficial bit is when I pop in at any time of day or night or evening, just to have a natter or a cup of tea or whatever's going. I think the main need is that most of the residents are paying at least 3 times for what they've done. They've served the time, they've been ostracised, they've lost the family, work is difficult to find and the community doesn't want to know.
When you're in prison, obviously you're looking forward to coming out of prison, but you're not looking forward to the prospect of if people care anymore. You know what I mean? You're coming out, most people come out of prison, they don't go back with the family. So you're looking for some caring attitude when you come out. And I was quite overwhelmed, you know, the day I got here. And the staff, you know what I mean, you've only got to talk to them. Are they there to help you? They're there to help you as friends, not people who sit in offices.
But they're encouraged to do housework, keep things clean and tidy, particularly their own rooms. They help with gardening, they help in the kitchen, if they have the skills for that type of work. We don't force things upon them, we try and encourage them to be useful around the house so that when they do move on, Audrey and I know that they're capable of looking after themselves to a reasonable standard and they wouldn't be totally lost in a council flat and running down the road at the first catastrophe of the pan boiling over, things like that. We do help and encourage with the move-on policy, moving lads into accommodation wherever we can. And by that we mean the first week they get them. Audrey will make a week's groceries up for them and we'll help them with furnishing and fittings that we have on stock from our collections over a period.
We don't class it as a job. It's a way of life. And I think that's what comes across to them and helps them rehabilitate. Because they then know how to carry on when they go into their own flats.
Halfway homes, such as Langdon, build vital links with the community. But for many ex-offenders, there's a need for more sheltered working environments. The Langley House Trust meets these needs at Elderfield. This is a large 18th century house in Otterbourne, near Winchester. First opened in 1959 by John Dodd, it's now an active working community with a garden centre where the general public come to buy produce from men who, for a variety of reasons, are more suited to sheltered employment.
The kind of residents we have here, I think, have all come from different backgrounds. They turn up with maybe 1 or 2 bin bags with their worldly belongings in them. they invariably are quite mature when they turn up, and it's only later that you might get to know their sad stories. I think the majority of them have come from care backgrounds. They were perhaps put into care at an early age and they've grown up in institutions of one kind or another. Abuse is quite common. It might take a long while before you find out what has happened to a man. The people that normally come here are increasingly mentally disordered in some way and are not able to compete in a working market. They have a range of problems. They usually are people who have not had any work at all before, so they've never got into a work regime. They don't know about getting up in the morning at 9 o'clock and working until 5 o'clock in the evening. And I think that's very important for people who are going to leave us and look for a job. Just that alone, that they're in a work regime.
The main work here at Elderfield is the horticultural side of things, which we then sell to the public, mainly during the summer. Consists of bedding plants, and everyone's at Elderfield's involved with that, staff and residents. I mean, we find that that's actually a very good vehicle for giving people self-confidence and pride about themselves, which often when they come to us they have very little of, and to sort of get alongside and to work and to have their work appreciated and praised, and especially to have customers coming in and actually buying products off them certainly gives them a sense of satisfaction and well-being. And also it creates a good link with the community, and over the years those links have become very strong bonds, and again that has helped as friendships have built up, and the confidence that comes from that. I mean, there is a little bit, obviously, from their backgrounds, they do have a sort of stigma and burdens to carry because of things that they've done in the past, and here's a place where they can develop at their own pace, at their own speed. We try and cater the work to be able to suit everybody, and if there are skills and talents that are there, we try and draw them out as much as possible. Because of the shop and the fact that we sort of sell to the public, over the years we have regular customers, and over a period of time the relationships and friendships have formed between the local community and individual members of Elderfield, as well as Elderfield as a group. Obviously when the trust and this house was first set up, there was a stigma attached to it, but over the years that has been broken down, and the men can go out now into the community as equals.
Life is what you make it. You can work hard and you get your time off, you save your money, and the idea is later on is when I feel like it and the powers that be agree to it, then I can move on to somewhere else, either a halfway house where I'm allowed to go out to work. At the moment, I'm quite happy here, doing the things what I like doing, and passing some of my skills on to some of the other lads that come with. And I work with 3 or 4 people sometimes, and I'm showing them what to do. When you've got people here, then if they want to, they can move to a halfway house, giving somebody else a chance from prison or prison hospital to for their chance to start as we've started.
The alternative to my coming here would have been I would have gone back to court, obviously, for sentencing, and I would expect they would have given me a prison sentence, it was a magistrate's court, they would have given me a short prison sentence. Now, you know, I've served 2 prison sentences in the past and found it not to be of any use at all, because what happens is I get released from prison and find myself back in exactly the same predicament as where I started before I got into prison.
Here at Elderfield, that can work at their pace and do the creativity side of a person can come out over a long period of time, because time doesn't matter here to us. So we get marvellous results, and some people that come who have been literally put on the scrap heap, if you like, you know, have come up with marvellous things because they've had the confidence, probably for the first time in a man's life, something that is made, something that is creative, something that is grown, the public out there are willing to pay money for. And this really does give a marvellous boost to that particular person. We run what I call a life and social skill course in-house. Again, from previous experience, we get some chaps here who want to go on to night classes and learn how to do various things. And we found over the years that sometimes they find it a bit of an ordeal leaving the premises and going into a classroom situation. So we have a classroom on the premises, and the men seem to respond to that a lot better. And we've got two tutors that come in once a week, and we've had marvellous results from that because the men don't feel threatened, they're in their own environment.
We never all do the same jobs. Sometimes you might do weeding, you might do planting things, moving stuff from one tunnel to another. Might pot out. Some people do that. Some people do pricking out, and some people do the seeding. You know, seeding the trays, and see you got a few weeds in them, but that's not too bad, you know. Or sometimes it's gapping that, and eventually they all go outside, you know. When the weather's really good, you know, they all go outside. They try and sell them all off cheap, quickly, you know.
The Langley House Trust is successfully working to reduce crime by helping ex-offenders like Keith deal with their problems and become useful members of society. Langley homes help their residents build self-confidence and awareness by developing essential social and practical skills that many of us take for granted. For many men, their time in prison has done little to confront the matters that were fundamentally wrong with their lives and which led to their original offences. The problems suffered by ex-offenders are often not as visible as those faced by other disadvantaged groups in our society, such as children or the disabled, and yet their problems, such as mental illness, childhood abuse, alcoholism, damaged relationships, and rejection, are just as real. Homeless and rootless ex-offenders have little or no support when they leave prison, and so enter a doubly hostile, unsympathetic world. They're society's outcasts, so their voices are seldom heard. But the vision and flexibility of the Langley House Trust allow it to cater for people nobody else will. A stable environment helps prison leavers to feel valued. They can look at their lives and set realistic goals to move towards an independent life. And it's the love, faith and care which the staff of the Langley House Trust demonstrate on a daily basis that allow these men to settle and feel a sense of belonging.
When somebody's gone through a full programme of 9 to 12 months duration, the change is so dramatic, you would hardly recognise sometimes where, you know, the person that came in and the person that left.
And I just thank God and everyone here at Murray Lodge that it is here, and you know, it's so strong, and it really is a positive place to be.
Langley Trust have offered me a home and a chance of a different life.
There are many needs still unmet, and the Langley House Trust continues to expand and welcomes your support. Private donations enable the Trust to continue its social skills training and to fund its accommodation. If you'd like further information or would like to help in any way, you may contact the Trust at the following address: Langley House Trust, 46 Market Square, Witney, Oxfordshire, OX8 6AL.